The rhythmic sorting of mail and packages had replaced the precise countdown sequences and orbital mechanics calculations 25 years ago, but Captain James Jim Rodriguez still approached every delivery route with the systematic precision that had once made him one of NASA's most reliable mission specialists. Jim, 69, sat in the fourth row of the Tonight Show studio, his astronaut's trained posture automatically perfect while his pilot's eyes scanned emergency exits and assessed the structural integrity of everything around him. The small USPSD 25 years reliable service badge on his postal uniform caught the studio lights as he adjusted his position with the controlled movements of someone who had spent years functioning in zero gravity. To the hundreds of customers along his postal route in Queens, Jim was just another dedicated mail carrier who somehow never missed a delivery and had an unusual ability to remain calm during any crisis. What they didn't know was that their letters and packages were being delivered by a man who had orbited Earth 17 times aboard space shuttle missions and conducted scientific experiments that advanced human knowledge of space exploration. What Jim didn't know was that his story had been quietly circulating among aerospace enthusiasts after someone had discovered that several NASA mission reports credited mission specialist James Rodriguez with the same name as the postal worker who had become legendary in their neighborhood for his reliability and technical problem-solving skills. The connection had gone viral among space history buffs who remembered the shuttle program's unsung heroes. Jim's story had begun with dreams of exploration that had driven him through the competitive world of military aviation and space program selection. Born in New Mexico to parents who worked at White Sands Missile Range, Jim had shown exceptional mathematical ability and fearlessness from childhood, earning a degree in aerospace engineering and becoming an Air Force test pilot before being selected for NASA's Astronaut Corps in 1985. The training had been among the most rigorous in human history, years of learning to function in weightlessness, master complex spacecraft systems, conduct scientific experiments, and work as part of teams where any mistake could be fatal. Jim's specialty had been space-based scientific research, and his calm demeanor under pressure had made him an ideal mission specialist for the complex experiments that justified the shuttle program's enormous expense. Over 10 years, Captain James Rodriguez had completed 4 space shuttle missions, logging over 800 hours in orbit and conducting dozens of experiments that advanced human understanding of material science, biological research, and astronomical observation. His most important mission had been STS-71, the first shuttle docking with the Russian space station Mir, where his diplomatic skills and technical expertise had helped establish the international cooperation that would later make the International Space Station possible. But Jim's astronaut career had ended abruptly in 1998 when a routine medical examination revealed an irregular heartbeat that, while not dangerous on Earth, could have been life-threatening in the stress and isolation of spaceflight. NASA's strict medical standards had grounded him immediately, and at 48, he'd found himself forced to retire from the only career he'd ever dreamed of pursuing. The Postal Service job had been chosen in 1999 as work that would keep him active and connected to his community while he figured out what retired astronauts do with the rest of their lives. But 25 years later, Jim had discovered unexpected satisfaction in the reliable service and personal connections that came with being the person who brought essential communications to families and businesses every day. The Tonight Show tickets had been a surprise retirement gift from customers on his postal route who had pooled their resources to honor the mail carrier who had not only delivered their packages faithfully for 25 years, but had somehow made even the most routine interactions feel special through his obvious dedication to excellence. It was a Tuesday night taping in January, and Jimmy was in good spirits after interviewing an action star about his new space adventure film. During his commercial break interaction with the audience, his attention was drawn to Jim by his military bearing and the way he seemed to assess everything with a pilot's trained attention to detail. "Sir, you have incredible posture and alertness. Are you military or in aviation?" Jim straightened with the automatic response of someone who had spent years in uniform under the most demanding circumstances. "Postal worker, sir. United States Postal Service. Been delivering mail in Queens for 25 years, retiring next month." A warm murmur went through the nearby audience members. Postal workers were essential public servants who kept communities connected, and 25 years of reliable mail delivery deserved recognition. 25 years with the Postal Service, you must know every address in your neighborhood. Jim's face lit up with genuine pride in public service. It's an honor to serve the community, making sure everyone gets their mail reliably and on time. People depend on Postal Service for everything from family communications to essential documents, medications, business correspondence. You talk about mail delivery like a mission, very systematic and service-oriented approach. Well, good service requires precision, reliability, attention to detail. Whether you're delivering mail or conducting any kind of mission where people are counting on you, the principles are the same. Jimmy noticed something in Jim's language, a mission-oriented sophistication that suggested experience with high-stakes operations beyond typical postal work. Jim, have you always worked for the Postal Service? You seem to have training in precision operations or mission planning. Jim paused, as if deciding how much of his background to reveal. Actually, I used to work for NASA before I joined the Postal Service, space programs specifically. I was a mission specialist on shuttle flights. The mention of NASA shuttle missions caused a stunned silence in the studio. Space shuttle astronauts were among the most elite individuals in human history. You were a space shuttle astronaut? Jim, that's incredible. How many missions did you fly? 4 shuttle missions between 1987 and 1997. STS-43, STS-58, STS-71, and STS-86, total of about 800 hours in space, conducting scientific experiments and helping with International Space Station development. Jimmy's curiosity exploded. Space shuttle astronauts were legendary figures who had risked their lives to advance human knowledge and exploration, and someone with that background delivering mail suggested an extraordinary story. Jimmy made a decision that would change everything. Jim, space shuttle missions are the pinnacle of human achievement. Would you mind coming down here and telling us about your astronaut career? Jim looked uncertain. Oh, I don't think people want to hear about old space missions. That program ended years ago, and there were many astronauts more famous than me. Trust me, people definitely want to hear about space exploration from someone who lived it. Come on down. As Jim made his way to the stage with the controlled movement of someone who had once floated through spacecraft in zero gravity, his bearing transformed completely, the confident presence of someone who had seen Earth from space and conducted experiments that advanced human knowledge. When he reached the stage, Jimmy guided him to a comfortable chair. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jimmy announced, "this is Captain James Rodriguez. For 25 years, he's been delivering mail in Queens, but before that, he spent 12 years as a NASA astronaut, flying 4 space shuttle missions. Jim, tell us about your space career." Jim settled into the chair, and when he spoke about space exploration, his voice took on the awe and precision of someone who had experienced one of humanity's greatest adventures. Being a mission specialist means you're responsible for conducting the scientific experiments that justify sending humans to space instead of just robots. You're operating complex equipment, running biological studies, testing materials in microgravity, collecting data that advances human knowledge. The audience was completely quiet, understanding they were hearing about space exploration from someone who had actually traveled beyond Earth's atmosphere. What was it like launching into space? Jim's eyes lit up with memories that still seem surreal decades later. Launch is 8.5 minutes of the most intense acceleration you can imagine, going from 0 to 17,500 miles per hour while your body experiences forces 3 times normal gravity. Then suddenly the engine shut off and you're weightless, floating in complete silence, looking down at Earth through the windows. What did Earth look like from space? Possible to describe adequately. This beautiful blue marble suspended in infinite blackness, no borders visible, just one perfect planet that contains everything humans have ever known. You understand immediately that Earth is fragile, precious, the only home we have. Jimmy reached behind his chair and pulled out a tablet loaded with NASA mission records and space program documentation. "Jim, we did some research before tonight's show." He showed Jim archived mission photos and astronaut records. According to NASA records, mission specialist James Rodriguez conducted over 50 scientific experiments during his 4 shuttle flights. Jim looked stunned. You found my NASA mission records? We did. Listen to this. From your mission commander on STS 71, Rodriguez's technical expertise and calm professionalism were essential to our successful docking with Mir Space Station. His work helped establish the foundation for international space cooperation that continues today. The studio fell completely silent. The audience was processing that they were meeting someone who had participated in historic space missions that advanced human exploration and international cooperation. Jim, you were clearly successful as an astronaut. What happened? Why did you leave NASA? Jim's expression grew more somber, touching on the medical realities that ended many astronaut careers. Routine medical examination in 1998 revealed an irregular heartbeat, not dangerous for normal life, but potentially fatal under the stress and isolation of spaceflight. NASA's medical standards are uncompromising. If there's any risk, you're grounded immediately. That must have been devastating. It was like losing my identity. I trained my entire adult life to be an astronaut, and suddenly that was over. At 48, I had to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. Jimmy leaned forward. But you never stopped being an astronaut, did you? Jim smiled for the first time since taking the stage. The training and mindset never leave you. Delivering mail requires the same attention to detail, reliability, and service commitment that made me good at space missions. Different environment, same dedication to excellence. Jimmy continued reading from the tablet. Jim, we found something else. NASA's been trying to locate you for their astronaut reunion and historical documentation projects. NASA wants to find me? Listen to this from the current NASA administrator. Captain Rodriguez represents the best of the shuttle program, skilled, dedicated astronauts who advanced human space exploration through scientific excellence and international cooperation. His contributions deserve recognition and celebration. Jimmy stood and addressed the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, this man spent 12 years training for and conducting space missions that advanced human knowledge, then spent 25 years applying that same precision and dedication to serving his postal community. He turned back to Jim. The space community wants to honor you. NASA wants to feature your mission work in their Space Shuttle Legacy exhibition, and several aerospace museums want to offer you consulting positions on educational programs. Jim's eyes filled with tears. They want to honor my space missions? They do. And Jim, there's something else. Your mission experiments contributed to research that's still being used to develop technologies for Mars exploration. And Jimmy had one more surprise. We have someone here who wanted to meet you. From backstage, astronaut Scott Kelly, who spent a year aboard the International Space Station, appeared in his NASA flight suit carrying a mission patch. Jim, Kelly said, approaching with obvious respect, I've read about your missions, especially STS-71 and the Mir docking. Your work helped establish the international cooperation that made my year-long mission possible. You're one of the astronauts who built the foundation for everything we're doing in space today. Jim was openly crying now, overwhelmed by recognition from the current generation of space explorers. You know my missions? Every astronaut knows the shuttle program veterans like you. Your scientific work and international cooperation efforts represent the best of human space exploration. You help prove that space brings out the best in humanity when we work together. Jimmy sat back down beside Jim. Jim, you've spent 25 years thinking your space career was over, but what you really did was continue serving your community with the same excellence you brought to space while your mission work continued contributing to human space exploration. As they helped Jim back to his seat, he stopped and looked out at the audience one more time. Thank you for honoring my service. But I want people to know space exploration isn't just about individual achievement. It's about advancing human knowledge, fostering international cooperation, and proving that when we work together, there's no limit to what we can accomplish. Whether you're conducting experiments in space or delivering mail on Earth, you're serving something larger than yourself. The episode that aired became one of the most inspiring Tonight Show segments ever, sparking renewed interest in the Space Shuttle program and the astronauts who had risked their lives to advance human exploration. Jim's story inspired NASA to actively seek out former astronauts for educational and historical preservation programs, recognizing that their firsthand knowledge was irreplaceable as the shuttle program became history. His postal route became an informal space education center where he taught children about space exploration and the importance of pursuing their dreams. Jim spent his retirement consulting on space education programs and sharing his astronaut experiences while occasionally helping with mail delivery during busy periods. Discovering that leaving NASA hadn't ended his contribution to exploration, it had expanded his mission to inspire the next generation of explorers and scientists. At 71, Jim still moves with an astronaut's precision, still believes that excellence in any service serves humanity, and still carries his NASA mission patch alongside his Postal Service badge, a reminder that true explorers never stop reaching for new frontiers, whether they're in space or in the communities that depend on their dedication to service. Because sometimes the most important missions happen not in spacecraft orbiting Earth, but in neighborhoods where former astronauts continue proving that the same qualities that make great explorers, precision, reliability, and service to others, can make ordinary work extraordinary, one carefully delivered letter at a time.